What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, combing through some round 2 draft targets. I know it's a bit early for this conversation. I agree with that. But the Browns right now do have some holes to fill. I mean, this defense is going to lose over half of its starters in my eyes. Now, not all positions can be filled through the draft. There will be some free agency acquisitions. But I do think the Browns, they have to hit on this first pick they have in the draft, which is in round 2. Now, we're filming today's video during our live show every Thursday at 4 Eastern. So, in case this comes out a little bit later and things have changed, just stick with me here. But the current round 2 draft order looks something like this. The Browns currently have the 8th pick in round number 2. That's number 40 overall. It might be 39. I'm not really sure what they're going to do about the Dolphins, who had their first round pick vacated, if everyone sort of slots up a row. But regardless, this is how it currently shapes up leading into week 7. So, I've got 5 draft targets for the Browns, starting with a bit of a surprising name, but what about Kayshon Boutte? What about Boutte? So, I know a lot of people are going to go, what the heck are you talking about? He's not going to be there in round 2. Well, we have to remind ourselves every year, players rise and fall during the draft process, right? Guys we thought were for sure first rounders fall into round 2. And maybe Kayshon Boutte, who's supposed to be the number 1 wide receiver in this class entering this year, right there with Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith-Njigba, like those 3 guys, Boutte has sort of fallen off a little bit, sort of a slow start to the season, which has him falling behind some other names, and maybe he creeps into round 2, right? Maybe he's sort of like George Pickens, who some saw was a first-round pick last year, and it didn't work out that way. The Steelers got him right around the 40th pick last year. This might be a best player available type of pick for Andrew Berry, where is wide receiver this team's biggest need right now? Absolutely not. It is defensive line. But if Boutte's out there, it might be hard to pass up on. Now, Kayshon Boutte, if you look at his stats the last 2 seasons, huge drop-off in touchdowns. Now, Brian Kelly has utilized him in a different role than what he had in 2021, moving him around sort of out of the slot. But it is also worth to note, he has not had good quarterbacks in Baton Rouge. That would change with Deshaun Watson. And that might be where Andrew Berry goes, the fact that he's out there right now, oh, this is a complete miss by 31 other NFL GMs. We've got to get this guy here. Now, we go back to this, though, what I mentioned just a moment ago, the wide receiver room for Cleveland. They've got 2 legit wide receivers in Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones in my eyes. DPJ with Deshaun Watson's only going to get better. David Bell, as a rookie, starting to come along the last couple of weeks. Same goes for Michael Woods. But sometimes we see teams make a pick that, sort of like the Browns did last year, did anyone have cornerback as this team's biggest need in the draft? No. Y'all thought we were set with Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward, and Greg Newsome. But Andrew Berry showed if he sees talent that he likes more than other positions, he'll take that. And maybe this could be the same situation here. But what position do you guys think the Browns should draft first? I want you all to get in the comment section and let me know. I'm expecting to see a lot of defensive tackles. And that's what I'm going to put too. But I do want you guys to have an opportunity to get your votes in down below. Speaking of defensive tackles, that brings us to our next draft target for the Browns. Gervon Dexter out of Gainesville, Florida. The big guy in the middle of the defensive line. The third-year player, if memory serves me correct here. So far this year, 19 tackles, 2 sacks, even an interception. 6'6", 312 pounds. The Browns are desperately looking for a true nose run-stopping tackle. And that could be Dexter Sr. for the Browns, because all 4 of these guys are not starting next year for the Browns. None of these guys are. Taven Bryan's gone. Jordan Elliott is not starting. Tommy Togiai will probably be a surprise cut candidate when we get to that stage, and I don't think it's much of a surprise. Perrion Winfrey doesn't even have enough snaps registered to make PFF's rankings. So both starting positions are up for grabs after this year. None of these 4 guys are going to get it in my eyes. Winfrey this year maybe has the best chance since he's only a rookie. We haven't seen enough of him. But also, he has some major character and off-the-field flaws right now. He has to get that straightened out first. Defensive tackle is the number 1 priority. And so you're going to see a lot of mock drafts go defensive tackle for the Browns. And I get that. I do. But If the Browns fill that need in free agency, all of a sudden that kind of opens up their options in the draft. They'll still draft a defensive tackle. It just may not be the first pick they go with if they got 2 guys in free agency. All right? Now, I guarantee there is no other Browns YouTube channel that will get you guys the best draft coverage, which is still months away. Don't get me wrong. But when we arrive at that point, you'll be happy that you're subscribed here to get the latest draft buzz, the latest draft rumors, mock drafts, all that good stuff. Even without a first-round pick, I'm a junkie for the draft. I love the draft. And if you do too, subscribe today. All right, this next draft target was actually from Yahoo Sports' NFL mock draft. They had the Browns going with the defensive end out of Manhattan, Kansas. That is Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the defensive end from Kansas State. He's got a high motor. He's got a lot of great physical traits, 6'4", 255 pounds. I get sort of flashes of Arnold Ebiketie if you watched him at Penn State last year. So far for the Wildcats this year, 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 QB hits. The Browns need to fill the opposite defensive end position. Clowney's not coming back. Alex Wright has not looked like a guy who's ready to be a starting defensive end. Honestly, Isaiah Thomas has looked more like that than Alex Wright has. So this might be a spot where Andrew Berry goes, you know what's the most important position in football? The quarterback. The next most important position? Getting after the quarterback. And we need to get another legit edge rusher opposite of Myles Garrett. Before I unveil the next 2 draft targets I have for the Browns, if you want to put some money down on NFL games, on college games, NBA, put some money on the Cavs, whatever it may be, just make sure you're doing it at BetUS. Because here at Chat Sports, we're partnered with the #1 sportsbook partner who is offering the Dog Pound a 125% deposit bonus when you go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Browns125. Let's say you put 100 bones in. I got 225 to play with. I'm not going to stand up here and say put it all on Browns money line. That'd be pretty bold. But you can put it wherever you like. Just make sure you put, that's what she said, make sure you put all your money at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. All right. Speaking defense tackle, we're going right back to it, right? Siaki Ika, the defensive tackle for the Baylor Bears. He transferred from LSU. And listen, if you're happening to watch in the TCU Baylor game this Saturday, or depending on when this video goes out, maybe you already watched him, this is a great opportunity to do some pre-scouting because this is maybe your best comp I could really give would be you know Danny Shelton. You know what I mean? That big nose tackle in the middle of the defense that's really going to eat up 1 or 2 offensive linemen and let Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah make some tackles in the backfield. Just this year, 21 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He had 4 sacks last season. He's yet to register 1 this season. Perrion Winfrey was picked because he had some upside in the pass rush ability. His downside was run stopping. The Browns need run stopping badly, and Ika could do a great job of filling that void for the Browns. My 5th and final draft target, I know, all my Buckeyes fans out there are not going to like this. It's the team up north. It's Mazi Smith from Michigan. Cancel out the M. But he's had a very good season for the Wolverines this year. 34 tackles, just half a sack, 2.5 tackles for loss. Anytime you're watching Michigan on Fox and Joel Klatt needs to change his pants, it's because Smith is making a great play for this Wolverine defense, which I get can be a bit tough to make the bridge from Saturday to Sunday, but Donovan Peoples-Jones has been a great fit for Cleveland so far, same as Jabril Peppers, so I would not mind this pick. It's tough to estimate this early where these guys are going to go, but here are my 5 draft targets for the Browns. Kayshon Boutte would be a very pleasant surprise if he's in round 2. That would be one of those kind of best player available over the need of the team. We got some defensive tackles, Dexter from Florida, Ika from Baylor, Smith from Michigan, and then the edge rusher from Kansas State, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. So those are 5 draft targets just to watch for the last couple of weeks of college football during the bowl games. If you happen to be watching TCU, Baylor, Michigan, whatever it may be, and you're like, well, I have a reason to watch now. This guy might be suiting up in brown and orange. But speaking of that team up north, I don't think it's too early to ask this. Who you got? Michigan or Ohio State? I think winner goes to the playoffs. I think the loser is probably playing in a different bowl game, but not one of the best ones out there, so not one of the playoff bowls. So let me know who you got in this one, Michigan or Ohio State.